Hello, friends. Um, James is here. Just yesterday I went to this. I've gone through this situation with my car, and I've learned some valuable lessons yesterday about a number of things. You know, um, Let me tell you what happened. So it's like about 1:30. So I was with my son, and we said, I'm like, oh yeah, let me go to work. I usually go to work about 2 o'clock, right? Um, at least get ready to leave by 2 o'clock because I start working at 3. So as I went out, uh, and we made it to the car, and then we got in the car, and I buckled him in, and I'm like, okay, let's go. So we started driving, and as I was driving, I heard this rubbing sound. I heard this vroom, 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 vroom sound, and I'm like, uh-oh, that's the sound of a flat tire, right? I'm like, oh man, snap. We have a flat tire. And it's amazing because the baby J was like, Daddy, what is this sound? And I'm like, yeah, that's not a good sound. So I got out of the car. So I looked at it. It was the back passenger side tire flat. Now, I want to share this just to tell you of how good God is, right? In the midst of what we deem as trouble. So I want you to pay attention to this. So I got out of the car, checked the tire, and I'm like, oh man, that's not good. So I pulled to the side on Route 61, if anybody's familiar with that. So there's a lot of cars going, going pretty fast. So I pulled to the side on the right side of the curve, just trying to see if I can change the tire. So as I went out there thinking I'm gonna change the tire, so I begin to, unscrew the lug nuts and stuff, and we're moving the bolts. So right next to me was this girl, right? So while I'm doing this work, something in my mind, something in my mind says, "Oh man, I'm thirsty," right? I thought of it. I'm like, "Oh man, I'm somewhat thirsty right now." And the moment that I thought of that, this it so happened to be, right? This girl is getting out of her car and she's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got a flat tire. I gotta just change it. I gotta put my, I do have another tire in the back, so I'm gonna put that in there." And she's like, and she just handed me over this bottle of water. She said, "Would you like some water?" I said, "Yeah, thank you." So I'm showing you how God is so good just in the midst of that. So here goes one act of mercy, a bottle of water. I said, "Okay, cool, thank you. Appreciate that." So I went back to finishing, trying to do the work. So while I'm doing this, unscrewing my tires, I mean the lug nuts from the tire, uh, to loosen the tire so I can put a new one on. I got to the last one. I wasn't able to take it out. It was just so stuck. And I'm like, why is this thing so hard to take out? Not only was it hard, but the screw was all rubbed off. So you could tell it was polished. Maybe the last time I did my tire, they must have, you know, drilled it a little bit too much and it's all rubbed off and I couldn't even take it out with my tools. So I was like, oh man, that's bad. And it so happened to be that in 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 our insurance, I happen to have um, roadside assistance and didn't even use it, never thought about using it. And I just called them and they're like, oh, yeah, you have roadside assistance. You're 100% covered. There's nothing to worry about. And we're going to send somebody to come and check out your tire for you. Um, we'll be there in 35 minutes. So here is the thing. It so happened to be right before that I left. I usually leave to go to work about 2 o'clock because I pick up my mom and drop her off at 2:30, and then I'll wait outside till 3 o'clock. Then I start working. So I left home at 1:30 that day. I don't know why I did so early, right? So that time when I discovered that my tire was flat, it was just enough time so that I could call my mother to tell her what was happening with me in my car, and she was able to call a cab so she can get in time. She can get to work just in time. I was thinking about that. I'm like, is this chance or providence? These are things that I'm thinking about. So I said, okay. So she made it to work safely. I was outside. So I was trying to work with this tire business. So remind you, I have the baby with me, baby James, 3 years old, and he's like sitting in the car, like, what's going on, Daddy? What's happening? It so happened to be that my wife was off that day as well. And she's like, and I gave her a call, and she's like, oh yeah, I'll come get the baby. And I said, yeah, come get the baby so I can figure out this car business. And yeah, and she came. So it so happened to be that she was off. That was her only day off of that week. So getting the baby out of the situation kind of opened the door for me because it was really cold outside and everything. So it's just, and I'm thinking about that. I'm like, was this chance or was this providence, right? So baby's gone. I'm outside with the car. I'm waiting for roadside assistance to come to assist me with the tire. So so remember, after I spoke to the person on the phone, they said they were gonna be. It's gonna take them about 35 minutes to make it to my car. It so happened to be that the roadside assistant person was only 5 minutes away from me. It was literally turning on my block. After I got off the phone with the lady, this brother was just literally turning on my block within 5 minutes. It was like I saw this great car rolling next to my car, and he's like, "Did you call for roadside assistance?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm here to take care of you." Chance or providence? So he came and he did his thing, and he took care of the love nuts that was all loosed up and messed up. He got rid of that. He got it in he removed the tire, and we put and the one exchange tire that we had in the back, and we put that in the car. So it so happened to be that I had just enough time. It was done such a perfect time. I had just enough time to go to this uh, tire place, and as soon as I made it there, I noticed one thing. It so happened to be that there was no person at that place, which is oftentimes is very busy. There was no other cars waiting. There was no, uh, literally, I was the only person there as soon as I got there. Remember, I'm still got to get to work and stuff like this is happening. So as soon as I got there and I saw three guys standing there who were going to take care of my tire, and one of them came and looked at the size of the tire in the back and check out the size of the tire. And it so happened to be, while he looked at the size of the tire, two other mechanics were just standing there, and they're like, "Oh, we have this tire right here." So it's like, as soon as he knew what size my tire was, the two mechanics already had a tire in their hands that was exactly the size of my tire. Chance or providence? And I thought about that. I'm like, strange. So so they took care of the tire in a matter of literally 10 minutes, and this was done. So I was able to get the tire taken care of. Um, I called my job and told them I was going to be about 30 minutes late, and literally it was just 30 minutes. But this is the thing that I've learned in that whole thing, that whole little uh, I don't know if I don't know if I should call it trouble, but a little challenge. I learned a message that day. We can so focus on problems that we fail to realize the blessings that are around us. The lady who gave me that bottle of water did not have to give it to me, but she was impressed to do so. My wife happened to be off that day taking the baby, was just perfect timed as well. Blessings. The fact that I left home a little early than normal opens the door for my mom to be able to get a taxi to get to work on time. Blessings. After I spoke to the lady over the phone, The fact that she told me the guy was going to be there in 35 minutes and he made it in just within 5 minutes, blessings. When I made it to the car place to remove my tire, a process that can take 30 minutes to an hour, and sometimes there's a lot of people in line. The fact that there was not a single person there to get their tires changed or exchanged or buying a new one or to fix their tire. I was the only person there. There was one other guy, but he was leaving. But I pulled in literally in the place to be served at the right time at such a quick space with a low price. Blessings. And I was able to go to work and made it there and did the things I needed to do. Just within 3:30, I was only 30 minutes late from work. Blessings. Friends, you see, that little situation taught me some valuable lessons. It taught me that God cares about us. Nothing happens by chance. Even the negative things that happens in our world, if we are paying attention, there are blessings all around us. And I looked at it and I said, wow, as a Bible believing Christian, how often do we complain, we whine, we pine, but God is working things out. God is actively involved. God is overriding the plans of the enemy on our behalf, and yet we miss that because we focus so much on the problem that we fail to realize our blessings. And I learned a lesson that day. Whenever we face trouble, whenever I face trouble next time, take time to look around at the blessings of God in the midst of the troubles. Take time to see God's fingerprint, God's hands, God's moving and God's doing in the midst of my trouble, in the midst of my challenges, in the midst of my trials. And I looked at that lesson from yesterday's situation and I said, Lord, forgive me for doubting you. Forgive me for ever um, complain, complain about your goodness as if you are not good enough for me. Forgive me for my failure to realize how much you love me. Forgive me for not understanding that you care about the simple things that are in my life. Forgive me, Father, when you are blessing and you are working and you are doing wonderful things in my world. I fail to perceive that. It was a revelation for me, friends. And I'm telling you, for as simple as that was, it taught me some valuable lessons. And I'm sharing this with you to encourage you, no matter what is going on in your world. Don't get so caught up on the problem that you miss out the blessing that God has around you. Don't get so caught up on what is wrong that you fail to realize the things that are right. Embrace, deal with the situation for what it is, but also keep in mind that God loves you and God is working things out and God will get you through. Do not become discouraged. Do not doubt his love. Open your eyes, count your blessings because the Lord is with you. I want to leave you a final verse, friends, because especially to you who believe in Jesus. Even those who don't believe in Jesus, the Bible tells us that he makes the sun to rise even on the evil and on the good. The just and the unjust, they receive the rain too. So God is blessing us abundantly all throughout the day. Sometimes we don't realize it. Isaiah 41 verse 10 tells us this. Fear thou not, don't be afraid. I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will help thee, yea. I will strengthen thee, yea. I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness. Friends, don't be afraid. Trust God. He's with you. Trust in him. Give thanks to God, even in the midst of your troubles. He is watching over you. God bless you, friends, and have a good one.